Maria adopted 4 dogs. Altogether, they eat 1 3/4 pounds of food each day. If 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces, how many ounces of food will the dogs eat in 5 days? All right, so let's go through this. Uh, they eat 1 3/4 pounds of food each day altogether. So that is extremely important because it says altogether they eat 1 3/4 pounds of food each day. Now, if it was they eat 1 3/4 pounds of food each each day, we would have to figure out how much they eat each day. But the fact that they have the fact that there's 4 of them is basically it doesn't really matter anymore that there's 4 of them because it gives you how many pounds of food they eat altogether each day. So it says how many ounces of food will the dogs eat in 5 days. So we're converting from pounds to ounces at one point, but the first thing we can do, we can, let's see. So 1 pound equals 16 ounces. And it says that there's 1 3/4 is pounds is how much they eat each day, and then they're asking how many ounces. So would they eat in 5 days equals blank ounces, basically, right? So there are a couple ways we can do this. We can either change this into ounces first, or we can calculate this into pounds and then change it into ounces. Why don't we do it both ways to show how you can do it, okay? So let's do 5 times, let's just do the window method, 1 3/4, okay? So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 3/4, we can multiply like this, and we 5 over 1, every whole number has an invisible denominator of 1, and then we just multiply across. 3 times 5 is 15 over 4, okay? So I know that 15 over 4 I can divide, and this actually becomes 15 divided by 4 would be 3, because 3 and 3/4, right? Because 15 divided by 4 is 3 with a remainder of 3, and then to convert that remainder, you keep the same denominator when you're doing this as a whole number, right? 3 3/4. We're doing this as a mixed number, and then the remainder becomes the numerator, okay? So then we add these together. It's 8 3/4 pounds, and then it equals how many ounces is what we need to figure out, right? So to do ounces, we're going from pounds to ounces, which is bigger, okay, to smaller. So we need to multiply, and we're multiplying. We can split up. We're multiplying by 16. So let's do this. 8, oh, I'm sorry, 8 3/4. So 10 times 8 is 80. 8 times 6 is 48. Okay, 10 times 3/4, let's see what that is, times 10 over 1 is 30 over 4. We can convert that in a second. And then 6 3/4 times 6 over 1 equals 18 over 4. Okay, so we could actually add these together. 30 over 4 plus 18 over 4 first. 30 over 4 plus 18 over 4. So 30 plus 18 is 48. So that would be 48 over 4, right? And I know that 48 over 4 equals 12. So we can cross these out, and we can just add up 80. These two combine to be equal to 12, because 48 divided by 4 equals 12. So we're adding 80 plus 48 plus 12, which equals 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13, plus 1 is 14. So that equals 140 ounces of food the dogs would eat over 5 days. Let's just do it quickly the other way, okay? So, and make sure we get the same answer, okay? So, what we can do is we can change 1 3/4 into ounces first, and then multiply that by 5. So 1 3/4 into ounces, pounds. So 1 3/4 pounds equals blank ounces. So we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. We need to multiply by 16. So 16 times 1, and then 3/4. So 16 times 1 is 16. 16 times 3/4. 16 times 16 over 1 times 3 over 4. So 16 times 3, I know that 15 times 3 is 45, so 16 times 3 is 48 over 4, right? Because 1 times 4 is 4, and I know that 48 divided by 4 equals 12. I set this up wrong. But anyway, it should be 1 and then 3/4 here, and then this would be 16, this would be 12. So I know 16 plus 12 is 28, and then we are doing 28 times 5, because 28 is the amount of ounces that the dogs eat each day. 5 times 8 is 40, and then 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 equals 140 ounces. So, in 5 days, the dogs would eat 140 ounces.